which connects us onto this next part of the presentation, which is really important about what connects images. So not just thinking about what makes an individual photograph really interesting, but if I place this photo first and then this photo next to it, why am I doing that? What's the motivation for putting pictures next to one another and bringing them together into a photographic series? So this is something as photographers we really think about as well when we put together photo essays. We're not just thinking about that story structure, we're also thinking visually what connects images as well. So, for example, if I'm presenting this image in the story I did about desertification in China, in this image we have that two subject composition, which I like to use, and then we have the framing, we have the color, and then I might place this one next in the series. Now, looking at this one as image number 1, and this one as image number 2, why do you think I would put these two images together side by side? What is there visually within an image, or within those two images, that connects them, do you think?
Well, there's color and the direction of each one, they're moving against one another.
Absolutely. So we go from the yellowy orange of the sand dunes here, yellowy orange of the sandstorm, the direction of the man looking to the right, and then you view the next one, you're looking to the left. So you're playing on the opposites there. Anything else you notice? Trees, yeah, absolutely. The man and the tree, the men and the trees. There's a connection there. Visually, there's a connection there, as well as the story. Okay, so moving on to number 3, see if you can see the connection between this one and the next one that I chose to put in the photo series. This is a picture hanging on the wall in a farmer's living room. So here's the first one.
You seem to move from an expanse in the first shot to a frame shot with the bicycle, and now a framed picture, but it seems to go from broad to focus.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the framing. If you look at even at the window that I'm photographing through here, then we're looking almost at the window here as well. And here is this expanse, here is a more narrow perspective. I think the framing part is the most striking there between the two images. Anything else you notice in those two images? The connection between them.
There's a dramatic contrast between the dark and the light window. So the middle is light here, outside dark, and the next one is darker colors in the middle of the rainbow.
Exactly, using those opposites. There's also, if you look at the transport, here we're almost looking at a picture, framed picture of life, the men on the motorbike. Then here we have the traditional life. So from the modern life, men on the motorbike, traditional life of the people pulling the cars across the grassland. So it's playing with these ideas. We're not just throwing these images down in a random order. We're thinking about the connection between photographs. We've got a couple more since you're getting so good at this. So from this one to this one. What's that one? Original. This one. Exactly, yeah, something as simple as that. Inside this, well, we now know this is a farmhouse in a rural setting. Inside, we go outside, still in a rural setting. I've told you about the tradition, the traditional culture here. We're still connected to the traditional culture here. Anything else? Absolutely, the opposite of that contrast, definitely. And in the story about desertification, that was the message that I'm trying to communicate. The changing of life, the opposite from the past to the present. Here's the next one in the series. a little bit more obvious. The connections now you probably see from we're staying with a woman in traditional dress, another woman in different type of traditional dress. We've actually gone from one side of China to the other, but visually we've stayed very close and connected. Very dry, arid environment with a woman in traditional dress, dry, arid environment, and the man in traditional dress. You see these connections.
What's the story behind that last photo?
Everybody asked that. Everybody asked what was happening in that. Actually, that was taken in a community that was built in the desert to rehouse all the environmental refugees. So some of the rural areas were so badly affected by desertification that they were being moved into these newly built towns in the middle of the desert. And so I was actually off to the left, there was a school, and all the children were coming out of school. And so I was at this should be an interesting situation, but lots of kids walking around, maybe I can make an interesting picture. And then I was looking off in one direction, and then I saw this one boy walking down the sidewalk here to my right, and then he was walking along, and then he literally just walked along, stepped in that hole, kind of turned around, looked around, and stopped. And I took the picture, and he didn't even look at me, and he just then just kept on walking. So he was behind me, and actually out of frame were lots of other kids. So it looks like we're alone in the middle of this town. But actually, there were probably about 20 or 30 children all milling around us. So if you think there are other children standing around, moving around, but by just isolating him, and framing him, I was able to focus attention on this. And, you know, people draw different meanings and interpretations of this image, because framed within the context of desertification, of drought, and the issues that are affecting this community. Some people have told me that they see this boy as like one of these trees sprouting up. It's the youth, it represents the future growth of this town. I always interpreted it as him maybe sinking in quicksand, being sucked down into the desert. But people interpret photographs in different ways. You know, we approach images very different ways depending on who we are, what our backgrounds are, and how we interpret life. Exactly. Here you see the connection, the arid setting, the central figure. This is a worker down on the ground. Again, we've got the tree theme connecting here, but much more of the desert in the frame. So all of these things help connect images. So as well as trying to capture one great image, which is really important, my aim is to capture multiple great images that I can then think really carefully about putting them together. And that's really one of the aims of a photojournalist when creating photos here. These two are also good examples. You know, the connection with death. This is in an abandoned city in western China. Grave robbers have come and exposed a grave in this city that was abandoned. And then we go to get the trees on the edge of the desert, so you can see the obvious connection there. So going into video storytelling,